Hager versus Wardlow to kick things off made so much more sense. AEW did such a good job with the presentation of this, the execution of this. I almost think I wish they had more of a build to this, because this is to me, a monumental match in the landscape of professional wrestling. Like the crossover, yes, we've had wrestlers crossover to go both MMA and or UFC, even, whatever, company it is, and into wrestling. But to put an MMA fight on a wrestling show, obviously Wardlow is not a professional MMA fighter, but he definitely stood his ground. I mean, this was fantastically done. I wish what I was talking about in terms of the build, I wish they did almost like a weigh-in as well, and make it feel like that big fight feel that it was, because it is a big fight feel. Also, this is a main event worthy match, but putting it first in that prime demo time made sense to lead things off. It was done so well. I mean, the announce team did a really cool job. I liked how they picked one person and Jericho's in the corner and all that.
I liked that too.
Yeah, everything about it, I think it was executed very well. I really, really enjoyed this match. What did you think of the match, or just the whole presentation of it? I'll let you talk about that, and then I want to, add a few more comments before I steal all the thunder.
No, brother. I'm just sitting back here nodding. I feel like I couldn't agree with you more. I think you nailed it. Reading Bonds' column, he talks a lot about that too. He talks about how this was presented in a way that was a big fight feel.
Sure.
Having Spears in Wardlow's corner, and having Jericho come out and supporting Big Jake Hager, that was a really nice presentation. I liked that vibe, but I think that you nailed it. I think that you're right on the money. It only accentuates the underlying message, is that every time Wardlow is involved in something, it feels important in AEW. And so for that, AEW has done a really great job in preserving Wardlow's mystique and aura, and almost making him feel like a Brock Lesnar, right? Where big fight Brock. I feel like the one thing that you hit as far as a way that this could have been even better is, like you said, and this is, I love the presentation. The Octagon looked fantastic. Everything about it, I agree with everything you said, but I agree with you. Why not milk this and stretch it out? Milk it and stretch it out into something where you could see a weigh-in devolving into a fight on an episode of Dynamite. Why not? Why would you not lean into that? Build that excitement and make it feel that much more important, because this is an epic match in the big picture of this war, right?
Yeah. I mean, I want more of this. This was obviously like a dream match, the two hosses of both teams for sure. But the commentator did a great job. We kind of predicted, this is Jake's home turf, for sure. And so we're looking here at the newly released, if you're listening to this, Bonds' article is up on AEW Dynamite download.com already. And Bonds does agree, like what I would say is Hager's more experienced in the ring, but just judging this as a fan, and maybe more like, analytical, like the first round, I think the way it ended, it went to Wardlow. I mean, I think that was great to play that. It would have been cool to see like them go 3 rounds, just the distance, but I know timing is a little bit different in 3 5-minute rounds plus breaks and all that. But they did a great job. You could tell Hager was kind of holding back just a little bit, because he's professional and smooth. He wasn't going all the way through with the punches. He wasn't going all the way through with the kicks, but Wardlow did a great job selling and a great job absorbing these heavy blows for sure. I mean, Wardlow was so impressive in the ring to me because he had that extra mix of, he threw in that wrestling stuff. He threw in those throws, those suplexes, that Superman punch off the
power bomb into the steel cage.
Yeah.
Right?
So he was throwing those extra things, and that gives us the big fight feel of a Brock Lesnar-esque type of wrestler with Wardlow when he's always in the ring. And then you see Wardlow throw a freaking Hurricane Rana, which I don't even think we've ever seen him do before yet. And so it was just so well done for both guys. Props to them. I think the finish was perfect. You have Jake use a signature move, which they showed
That's a controversial take, though, because you have a big dog like Wardlow getting choked out. I mean, that's a big visual, right? We've seen that happen, and it hurt performers in the past when we've seen Lance get choked out, if we've seen Brody Lee get choked out, we've talked about that where like, does that hurt the mystique and the aura of a dominant big man? But I agree with you. This is Hager's signature move, right? This is like him hitting the one-winged angel in his version of MMA,
Good
right?
Point.
And so when you dial that in, I think that this was perfectly done. They highlighted how War Dog is 1-0 going into this match against Hager.
Yep.
This now ties it up 1-1. The two hosses of the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle are tied. And then it sets the stage for the rubber match. And that SPD, I hope that if they learn one thing from this match, see how successful and how hot the crowd was for this, how well these two guys work together, and lean into it. A crayfish specialty, lean into it. You got to lean into that build and make that rubber match feel epic. These two guys are just on the cusp of respecting one another. And
of course, they were.
This was something that I'm starting to see play out in this feud. Bonds talks about it in his column. He and I have a lot of similar takes. I've known him since he was born, so it's not a surprise.
You wiped his ass?
A couple times, yeah. But now you're sounding like Kenny Omega. So now I got it. Like, honestly, they're showing signs of respect that is starting to play out.
Sure.
We see it later on in the tag promo. You see it here, where it plays out, where Hager and Wardlow almost kind of bump fist, and then Sean Spears, the chairman, the wild man that he is, interrupts all that and just sneaks in and gets the attack in. But if that rubber match, if you build that to a respect match and you build that to a type of fight, last man standing, you do something, build into an element where both these guys prove to each other that neither one's going to quit, neither one's going to go down. I think that could go a long way, and almost building. I think what would be beautiful is this feud between the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. Although they hate each other, they learn to respect each other in some ways. Like, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of meat on the bone with that.
I never even thought about how that kind of would not necessarily end, but kind of come to like a gentleman's agreement. Like, they're just beating the snot out of each other, trading wins, and just they're all elevating each other, which we saw. We'll talk about later about the promo with the tag
iron
teams.
Sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron, and that is
But yeah, that would be a nice way to maybe they ultimately everyone turns on MJF and be like, no, we're all, because MJF is not going to show any respect to anybody.
You would love that, wouldn't you?
But anyways, the end of the match, of course you had to have some stuff, but it was such a cool moment where you almost thought like, oh, they're going to handshake, they're going to do, be cool, whatever. And then of course the salt of the earth comes in and ruins everything. Sean Spears comes in and ruins it. And then Sammy to save the day, which quickly and deservedly becoming one of the hottest pops, biggest pops, hottest baby faces in the company. And so we're going to see, we'll talk about later, the main event that we've been wanting for months and months and months, Sammy Guevara versus MJF, and called it, on a show months ago that this could be chance for Sammy to get MJF his first loss. I hope so, but I almost think it might be too soon for that. For MJF to take the loss, but I don't know. You think it's coming?
No, I think that it has to happen. I think this is going to be, bro.
Especially what's going on the Twitter spats.
I was loving this, every bit of it. I was loving it. I think that this is the feud that is gonna, like, both these guys, you got to remember, are young cats. MJF and Sammy are both young stars in their own right. Very early on, when you see Sammy Guevara break onto the scene in AEW, you saw what Jericho sees in him. It's obvious. And when Jericho puts his stamp of approval on someone as firmly as he did with Sammy, it's from day one. I think that this is the money feud for the singles side. And then, as the tag team guy, I'm jonesing about FTR versus Santana Ortiz. But when you think about how young these two kids are and how much potential both these guys have, how great they are at working social media, how great they are at cutting promos on the mic. Both these guys have it. MJF and Sammy are the real deal. I think that this is going to be the way that you ultimately, dude, MJF needs to be humbled. It has to happen. And if it's Sammy Guevara that does it, that's going to catapult Sammy into another stratosphere. I think that AEW recognizes what they have. You need to have a great heel, and you need to have a great babyface. And they have that with Sammy and MJF. MJF is automatically checks the box anytime that he goes into a feud. He checks the box as the Dynamite heel in that feud. He gets heat no matter what. He'll do anything to get heat. He's proven that
clearly.
And Sammy, unfortunately, I mean, he's shown he's the one at this side right now who's getting that from MJF. He sees what MJF's willing to stoop to, and it's going to push Sammy. I think that this is like. AEW is going to see these are too young, and they're doing it across the board in their company, betting on young talent. Right. You know, it's really exciting to see.
It really is. I mean, I am so excited. I mean, Bonds talked a little bit about of other companies and their quote unquote young talent, but these are like homegrown guys, and to headline. We talked about it in our pre-show as well. Like after tonight. It's full throttle back to live shows.
Buckle up.
Yeah. Just that's our new slogan for this era of Dynamite Download is buckle up, because we are in for it. Once the ground gets going, the payment that's going, the tour buses are going, the show qualities. I mean, all the matches that got announced for the upcoming next two shows are just pay-per-view quality matches.